3 years, 216 episodes, nearly 100K downloads. We're heading that direction. Books, merchandise, some videos, 222, 24. It adds up. It's the 3-year anniversary of Forgotten Hollywood. I'm James Lott Jr., your host for this special here on JLJ Media. I'm the JLJ of JLJ Media, clearly. And a show has become one of the biggest hits on my network. Surprise hits of my network. Couldn't believe it, but took a chance on a young man from Clinton, Indiana. He's here with me, the creator, the producer, the director, the writer, and the star host, Goose Creek Productions, Doug Hess. Hi, Doug.
James, hello. Thank you so much. And you're right. You took a chance on me 3 years ago, and I still remember the conversations that we had about that. And we laugh about it now because it's kind of funny. But no, you're exactly right. You were like, I don't know. But one thing I can always say about JLJ Media that you were willing to give an unknown a chance, and I am forever grateful for that.
Football Voice, another collaborator of JLJ Media, said to me today, take that logo. Everybody knows, if you know the history of Forgotten Hollywood and James Lott Jr., I wasn't a fan of the logo at first. I wasn't. And I said, well, let's keep it and we'll see what happens. And now it says star. So Flo's making fun of me saying, take that logo because it lasted.
Who knew?
Who knew? Because it's kind of funny. This is coming out. This is episode 217 for any purposes of this, but it's coming out on 2/22/24, which is like a weird math thing. It's kind of funny. When you look back on all, because you've done the work since you've fucking done all this work. What are some things that are coming up for you as we celebrate 3 years of this show?
Wow. One thing that is coming up is just how far we've changed in 3 years. Our format started completely different 3 years ago than it is today. And I never dreamed in a million years two things would happen. One is that we would be having celebrities or children or family members of past golden era stars coming on our show. I never would have dreamed that. We have been very fortunate, very blessed to have people that's been on the show. And number two, I remember when we first started out, I was buying books, going down to the bookstore, buying books, doing research. I remember even asking James if he knew the author of this book or that, and he's like, "Sorry, dude, no, I don't." And now we have a really good working relationship with a lot of different publishers. Publishing companies, and I want to say thank you to each and every one of them. They send us copies of the book. Sometimes we request them. Sometimes they'll say, "Hey, Doug, we've got this book coming out in September. Would you be interested in it?" And we'll take a look at it and say yes. And one thing that I think has been really a blessing is I pride myself on looking for books and authors that are, yes, at the Barnes and Nobles and Books and Millions, etc. But I also pride myself on those books that are hard to find. And we've gotten several compliments from individuals that said, I would never have known this book existed had you not brought that to the forefront. And I think a lot of times authors do not get the love and the attention that they deserve. They do all this great research. They get very little money. It's not the glamour that we think of when it comes with some of these writers. And to be able to shine a little light and spotlight on them it is what we do, I think, here at Forgotten Hollywood.
You have fans. People like it. My sister likes it. Shout out to my sister. She was telling me today she likes you. She likes cool. It. Well, I'm going to tell you a couple of things that are very interesting too, because a lot had you right. We've had some behind the scenes stuff come up for us. We had Nip in the Bud. I'm going to say that, but we had things to do. But yeah, I have my own book podcast in between pages where I've had people almost cross pollinate. Like I had some Little House on the Prairie folks on mine. You had some on yours. You are the leader of most of my shows, but you're also the leader of our kind of past look at stuff. We have So like a classic, which isn't, it's not a
Yep.
current. It's still, people still listen to it. But my Have You Heard of Me, which I do more current past. So you kind of
Yep.
lead the charge on that. So these are some of the biggest episodes to date. I'm kind of
Okay.
saying what they are. I'm curious to see. I'm going to do the top. Let's see. I'm going to do the top 10. So
Okay.
10 way up. I'll be curious to see what you think.
Okay.
What I'm looking at, a lot of these were released around the same time. So it's very interesting. Okay. Number 10. It's episode 139, author Melanie Bell. It's your 10th most downloaded
Wow.
to podcast. Any thoughts on that one? Do you remember? Any thoughts?
Actually, I do not. I'm sitting here as you say that. I'm trying to remember what that episode was, and I'm a little embarrassed and
That's fine.
ashamed
These
that
are,
I can't
it's
recall.
just this was a while back. It's like this is a while back. It's number
Yeah.
39. We're at 217. And I'm not supposed to
Right.
say everything, but I'll tell you right now. So does it tell me what it is? I'll have to look at another thing. It did very well when it was out. Yeah, I don't know what exactly, but that's number 6. Let's say that. But you're not supposed to remember every single one. Like hello.
Sure.
Okay, but that's just number 6. Okay. We're 10. Number 10. Okay, number 9. It's episode 120. So we're going back. We have more. 121. Kristen Anderson Wagner.
Oh my goodness, I am really embarrassed. And what's going to be funny about all this? Once it dawns on me, I'll be like, oh my God, yes, it's oh wow.
I mean, look,
You
let's look on here. It's like I'm gonna look on here too. Folks, we gotta look on here and see what this thing says. Okay, because it's
you're
just
hitting me with some curveballs.
these are old episodes. These are old episodes.
Yes.
Okay, so said one. So what was 139? So 139. It is. Her book was called "Movie Workers: The Women Who Made the British Cinema."
Oh yes, yes, yes. Yes, and now see again, you just have to give me a little bit of a grease on the wheel to
Yes.
get it going. She was from Great Britain, and I remember reaching out to her, and that's the beauty of technology today. We have had several people overseas that's been on this
Yeah.
podcast. And matter of fact, James and I have now a mutual friend because of it, JJ. And we may or may not have crossed paths because of that, but with the beauty of technology. But and what was interesting on that one, I think that was the first time, and I could be wrong, but I think that was really the first time that we really focused on just women when it was coming into the cinema. And I think it's very important to have that diversity. I mean, we all think of the Cary Grants of the world and the Jimmy Stewarts and the studs,
Right.
but it's also important to know that there was a lot of people behind the scenes that really make cinema. And if it wasn't for some of those individuals, the movies that we love today wouldn't have been possible.
Well, here's another one. So Kristen Anderson, episode 121, which is number 9, but it's also female oriented. You spoke with Kristen Anderson Wagner regarding her comic Venus Women in Comedy and American Silent Film. Comic Venus is the first book to explore overlooked contributions made by comedians in American silent film. We have some good topics there, kids. That's a good topic.
Yeah, and what's really interesting is I think a lot of times we don't think of comedy with silent movies.
Right.
Because there's no words, no actions. Yes, there's some written words that's up there. But what's beautiful, in my opinion, about the silent era film is you had to show it with your emotions, your body, and really give it 110% in order to make the audience believe something was going on. We think of Charlie Chaplin when it comes to comedy and some of the others.
Yeah. Number 8 is episode 122. Author Nicholas Parisi and his book Rod Serling, His Life, Work, and Imagination. Not surprised. I mean, Rod Serling.
Yeah,
That's
absolutely.
Twilight Zone, folks. I mean, that's not surprising.
Yeah, that's a Twilight Zone. And something else that we started doing here on Forgotten Hollywood on our Facebook page is when I get time, I try to watch an old movie, something I haven't seen in a while, or just something that's brand new to me, and then I try to write a very quick synopsis of the movie out there. It seems to be a big hit with the fans. But this past Christmas, we released and really encouraged people to see Rod Sterling's version of A Christmas Carol from the Twilight Zone, and that was a big hit as well.
Number 7 is episode
Ah,
132. Chuck McCann. So
Chuck
that
McCann.
is in this episode, along with our buddy Don Sanders, does
That's right.
discuss Chuck McCann, a third generation performer and son of a singing band leader. He was a show business veteran by the age of 11 and went on to become a successful comic character actor.
Yeah. And for those that don't know, Don Sanders, of course, I know James does. He's been on some of James's audio. Don and I were college roommates. That's how we kind of met each other. Don has a very large collection of autographs of old celebrities, if you will, and so we haven't had him on for a while, but he was fun to bring on, a college buddy that majored in theater there at Indiana State University, and have somebody to come on and just kind of talk a little bit.
Number 6, episode 136, Van Johnson. Self-explanatory.
Yeah.
Self-explanatory. Number 5. Oh, go ahead. No, go ahead. Please go ahead.
No, I was just going to say enough said with Van Johnson right there.
Yeah, that makes sense.
What else can you say?
Oh. Number 5 is episode 131, Warner Brothers 100 Years of Storytelling.
Oh, yes. And we really had two of those on over the last year. That was the first one that we had. And it was really just a quick look back at 100 years of Warner Brothers being in existence from the very beginning all the way up to present day. But we really took a good hard look at the early years of that.
Yes. Number 4. This top 4, I'm kind of surprised by some of them. No, well, actually, maybe not. Number 4 is episode 125. Author Ron Backer, his book movie series of the 1940s Hollywood.
Oh, interesting.
That was
go
ahead.
No, I was just going to say that's interesting that would be the number 4. The top 4.
It's number 4.
But
as over 400 and some downloads.
Wow. But in a way, it doesn't surprise me in a way either, because, obviously some of the different people that we're looking at, Boston Blackie, Dick Tracy, the Falcon, a few that are fictional, but it's something that a lot of people enjoy watching even today.
Yes. Number 3. Make sure I have the things I can just talk about everything. This one I was excited about. Couldn't believe it. So I'm thinking my generation, if they found this one, was like, okay. Number 3 was episode 167, actor Johnny Whitaker. Now, folks, you have to understand, for me, it was Family Affair. For me, it was Secret of Sea Monster. As a kid, it's the Sidney Marty Krofft stuff. And like, he was that redheaded, freckled boy of my childhood. So when you told me you talk about his acting, I'm like, oh, he's my favorite actors. Obviously, and also for you General Hospital fans, which is also one of my number 1 shows that competes with number 1 every week with Hollywood. He originated the role of Scotty Baldwin, a character that's still on the show today. Okay. Wow. Number 2. I'm like, okay, I want to make sure I get the thing ready for you, just in case you did. The number 2 with almost 500 downloads. To get it right. And we had spelled her name wrong at first when I put it out there. I read your name. Episode 120, author Maria Sanfilippo.
Wow.
Her the
Wow.
alleged death of the romantic comedy after happily ever after. She talks about the post romantic age,
Yep.
rom coms, and apparently that's number two.
Well, yeah, and in a way that doesn't surprise me a little bit because there's something about romantic comedies that people love even today. And you know, women I think are a huge fan of that, but I also think a lot of men will enjoy a good romantic comedy as well. Um, so in a way, I'm surprised, but in a way, I'm not in terms of that. But over 500 downloads. That's and I'm hearing this for the first time. I don't see these
Yes,
numbers, so this is kind of
yeah.
I'm kind of taken back by some of this.
Oh, yeah, this is all. See, I did this on purpose. This is all free. This
Yeah.
is the other stuff. The number one show of all time, also with nearly 500 downloads, but above episode 120, which I'm not surprised because I know a lot of fans of this artist. I'm seeing it more and more, pretty classic fans.
Mm.
Number one, episode 128, discussion with Polly Rose regarding Buster Keaton. Both of these top two came out a year ago this time.
Yeah.
So, but I'm late. So within a year, it became the biggest of all time of all your shows. Buster Keaton obviously is a figure in film, and so
Yes.
buddy, I'm surprised, not that surprised. But how do you feel about that?
Well, you know, this is a very interesting one because I had reached out to Polly and asked her if she wanted to be on the show. She did, but she was going on sabbatical. And so, what is very interesting is this probably, in theory, could have came out earlier, but it didn't. The fate would have it, and then she reached out to me. She was also based out of England, and again, Buster Keaton is not trying. You're starting to see resurgent in some of these old stars. Like you said, I
Yeah,
think there's a film in the works as
yeah.
well. There's been several books written on him, and you know, he just one of those geniuses that come around and. I hope will never be forgotten. I've always said on the show, and people that listen will know this. I'm a big believer we're only one generation away from losing some of these stars forever, and that's why we do this podcast.
You've had bubbling under this. You've had Leslie Kaufman twice on your show.
Yep.
We've talked with JJ Pega several times, our friend.
Uh-huh.
Right underneath the top 10, we have the monster movies, the TCM Turmoil with Me, Alfred Hitchcock, Burl Ives, Judy Garland Museum, so Judy Stewart Museum. So we've done some museum pieces. So
Mm-hmm.
there's some stuff underneath there. Um, let's see what's the other one. I want to kind of mention. Just want to mention some of these. The
Sure.
Exorcist Legacy, John Carradine, Warner Bros. Another Warner Bros. You've had Bernard F. Dick on a couple of times.
Yep.
Um, let's see. Red Skelton Museums. You've done some museum stuff. But all kinds of stuff. So I mean, I'm very proud of the podcast, and I just bring all this up just to say that I'm very proud of the podcast and that you have branched. As I'm reading these, it's very diverse. It's like very diverse topics of old Hollywood. Very good. It's very good.
Yeah, well, and I'll be honest with you, James. I think a lot of that had to do with you, with the way you run JLJ Media. It's very diverse, and we talk a lot,
Yep.
probably more than you want to talk to me at times.
Yeah.
But really, I think that starts with the leadership, and it kind of rubs off, and it has made me want to branch out to really not focus in one niche, but to say there's a lot of different topics and there's a lot of different rabbit holes somebody can go down through when they're talking about old Hollywood. And so, yeah, I'm proud of it as well.
Yeah. And it's added a whole cachet to my network just of something more than the soap operas or Star Wars. I mean, I have success in all these different things, but like this is something that it transcends age, it transcends gender. There are people who are film buffs or history buffs. They like it. I think it's why it's such a big hit. It's usually number one the day it's out. Even some days afterwards. You went off from doing it once a week to twice a week.
Yep.
So, what is one thing you've learned? Because I do other podcasts too, but we don't talk about those. Talk about this
Yeah.
one. This one. What have you learned about yourself as a host?
Wow, that I've gotten better. At least I hope I've gotten better. That I've grown professionally in terms of that. I'm a little bit more um, understanding when it comes to having to switch because every once in a while maybe one of our guests has to cancel, and so I've been a little bit more tolerant and understand that you have to be prepared to maybe have one or two episodes in your back pocket ready to go because things happen, life gets in the way, it's nobody's fault in terms of that. The other thing is not to be afraid to push the envelope a little bit and thinking that, oh, I don't have to just talk about the stars. There's other people out there. And I think, when we're talking about Johnny Whitaker, when we first booked him, I didn't know if anybody would remember him after all these years later. And it was just surprising to know that there's a craving, if you will, for this type of material.
It is, and that's what I've noticed also with all of our shows that are pop culture past oriented, that people
Mhm.
like it. And
Yeah.
and we did during the pandemic, which also a lot of folks were looking for nostalgia.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think it was the right time. I think seriously, I think it was right timing. We just came at the right time. And I will admit, I have no problem admitting this. I have a good network, and I was out for a while anyway, and I have a good reputation, so I think that helps also. And it shows my network
Sure.
well because of that. But I will give most of it to the pandemic, mostly because I think folks are looking for nostalgia, looking back. They didn't want to see what's going on in front of them. They want to, all the political stuff going on. They want to go back in time and relive times and make them happy. And I think your podcast helps that.
Well, I appreciate that, but I think you're right. And it's not only the pandemic, but I think it's also the current political situation that's going on right now. And not just politics, but the cost of everything.
Yes,
And people are
yes,
looking for that simpler time to
yes, they
where they
are.
can kind of escape. And I don't know how many people have, told me or asked me to do an episode on, this person or this show because they remember it as a kid or something that they can connect to. And another compliment that I got, I think is a compliment, is I saw somebody post something on one of our recent podcasts that said, "I really enjoyed the podcast. I just wish it would have went longer." And I think we're looking for. On average, we're probably somewhere between 15 to 25 minutes. We have some shorter, some longer, but a good 15 to 25 minutes. And, I think it goes to your point. We're trying to help somebody to escape for that 15, 20 minutes to think of a better time and a better place before they have to go back to the rat race.
Yeah. And that's our plan, folks. Forgotten Hollywood comes out twice a week, Mondays and Thursdays here on JLJ Media. It's out there on every streaming service platform. Congratulations, Doug, for all the success. And JLJ Media loves you. We love you.
And we love JLJ Media back. And again, thank you for taking a chance on a nobody 3 years ago.
But you were somebody, just not to the world.
Okay.
I don't know, just saying something. I'm just saying that. Folks, I'm just joking with him. I don't know about that. But in the whole point is he's always somebody. He's probably a secret person. I have no idea. But it works for JLJ Media. We love it and everything. And so, folks, continue to check out the episodes. Thank you all. Thank you, the listener who has been listening, whether it's one episode or all of them. Thank you so much for your time. We appreciate it. We know you have a million podcasts out there, but we will take it. I'm James Lott Jr. He's Doug Hess. And we will talk to you next time, maybe 300 episodes from now. Who knows? We'll see.